All right, welcome everyone to the news podcast of Better on Draft. It is January 22nd, 2021. Appreciate you all joining us for this special occasion. We just finished recording episode 250 on the Better on Draft podcast. Obviously, you can find it by subscribing to us on iTunes, Spotify, um, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that fun stuff. If you don't know where to find us, use the website PLNK. That's plnk.to/BOD. That's a lot of letters, but it's just plnk.to, plink.to, no I, with the /BOD to find where you can subscribe to us. Again, you can look at all of our socials to find that too by going to Better on Draft on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, Bod Podcast on Untapped, and of course, you can find us live, betterondraft.tv. Facebook.com/Better on Draft, YouTube.com /Better on Draft, Twitch.tv /Bod Podcast, and Better on Draft TV. There we go. That's everything. I am set. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, North Center Brewing and Zatuna Liquor. Robert, that's not the right button. We've got Robert with the beer news. Brought to you by, of course, our sponsors, as I mentioned, Zatuna Liquor in Rochester Hills and North Center Brewing in Northville, Michigan. Rob, talk to us. What's going on in the news?
How y'all doing? All right. We're going to start off with some news that was coming out of Indiana because the state of Indiana's legislation is about to put forth a bill which will roll back provisions that prohibit the sale of cold beer in grocery stores and drugstores. It is also going to remove the ban against selling and delivering cold beer for carryout. Currently, only packaged liquor stores and restaurants with carryout privileges can sell cold beer right now in Indiana. The bill also notes that a quote beer dealer cannot sell and deliver beer in a quantity that exceeds 864 ounces, which it was 864 ounces in a single transaction, which is roughly about 72 12-ounce cans. Or if they're in barrels, then the barrels cannot exceed 2,016 ounces per container. Did not say in the bill how many containers, but that's as much as that could be in a container. It's very interesting just kind of looking at some of the other states because obviously we have our rules here in Michigan. Ohio has the rules. Every state has their rules, but it's very different, I think, from a Michigan standpoint when we always sit here and just think well, for the most part, we generally always are used to seeing cold beer in a grocery store. Why is this state so far behind? And why are these changes or these differences that are in these other states have to be addressed when it's so normal here? It's such a weird thing.
There are also rules on the purchaser that you can only buy so much beer as a single purchaser if you're not like a bar or restaurant or something like that. Like this is, if you go to a brewery, for instance, like Three Floyds, which I've done before, and prior to their restrictions on how much money or how much beer you could purchase, which they created a two-case limit. Um, and that's two cases in ounces. There is one point where I remember purchasing, I think like four of these sized purchases from Three Floyds with four different credit cards of mine with three friends of mine, and delivering it to a friend of ours. And I won't say his name because obviously that's definitely against the law. Um, but
Say
I'm hoping that as the industry progresses and we deal with the life that is COVID itself, that a lot of these laws are going to um, change. That people are going, we saw the huge tie bar earlier last year about, distribution changes and all that in Michigan. I'm hoping that that stuff can start to, keep changing for all of our providers, both restaurants, distilleries, wineries, cideries, breweries, etc.
right. And I'm gonna go to Wendy on this one. The thing I'm kind of worried about is that with these changes, while a lot of these changes that we've seen, at least for the beer industry, has been for the better, the one thing I worry about is when we are, I guess, normalized. I'm not going to say that we're over with COVID, because we will never be over when we're with COVID. When we are normalized with it, if these laws are going to revert back, like what for what we have in Michigan, where we have the delivery. Obviously, like I said, talking about Indiana, where they're going to move to delivery, that these are only like stopgaps to make sure the industry keeps running. And I guess I'm curious of your opinion of whether or not you think once we get normalized, if stuff like this is going to stick around, or we're going to backtrack to where we were.
Wendy, we can't hear
Round.
you. Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit, yeah.
So I think that things will stick around. People are going to get used to having things a certain way. Um, like with my Arvon beer delivery today, I really missed being able to have beer delivered right to my house. I was sick for a week. I didn't go out shopping. I didn't get a chance to go and pick up stuff at breweries. So I was able to have it delivered to me, which is very convenient. I think a lot of people are going to um, get used to that convenience, and they're not going to accept going back to the way things were.
Mhm.
So I've got a different perspective on this because of what actually happened here. Um, so what had happened in Arizona, they were letting restaurants, bars sell carry out. They had just made an exception. The governor just made an exception. If you didn't have the carry out license to do so, you could do it anyways. Some restaurants and bars that had the exception went to court, said this just happened recently after almost a year into this. Went to court, said, no, we can't let these companies do this. The judge agreed. And now all of these companies that were selling to go that didn't have the license to do so are now not able to. So I'm worried you're going to see things like that in other states where companies are going to get a bug up their ass and be like, well, no, this guy can't do it. Go to court, and they're going to side with these companies instead of the exceptions that were made because of the pandemic that's going on.
Nick, any thoughts on that one?
All I know is that it's going to be very, very interesting these next few months with now with the vaccine starting to get rolled out. We're learning more about the vaccine distribution, so I'm sure that's going to play a role in restrictions. They just opened up stuff here in Michigan. Was it 25% capacity? We're up to 100 people.
February 1st, yes.
That's starting on February 1st.
Yep.
Which is great. It's progress, try and get some people back into these bars and restaurants and breweries and distilleries that, have been missing out on all this. But who knows? I think there's going to probably be more court battles to come in the future. People are struggling, and I think they're willing to do whatever it takes to try and reopen up their businesses again.
I believe we're gonna get, as Dan said, I think there is a lot of industries and guilds and groups and lobbyists who are not necessarily working as hard as they normally would, because they know that they would come out as the complete assholes in the situation. But after that, then they might be like, all right, well, it's done. We don't need this shit anymore. Stop it. And that's, I think, the fight that we would need to worry about. Now,
Yeah.
it's a new episode. What are y'all drinking? Wendy.
I have switched to the Island Drifter from Arvon, and I have to tell you, it's fantastic. Even with my lightened taste buds right now, I get that coconut in there. I love it. I'm a big fan of a coconut stout, man.
Robert, you're sipping. What do you got in that mug?
So I switched like earlier before finishing the Wendigo. I went to the Black is Beautiful, which is from Batch in Texas, not the Michigan Batch Brewing, but the Texas Batch Brewing. But now have the Drank, which is the Brewing Project, which is an Imperial sour ale with mandarin orange and marshmallow.
Delicious.
It's like one of my favorites. When this sucker hit Tavor, I bought 6 cans to make sure I had this shit.
I wish I'd bought more.
Nick, what do you got?
I got Dan's favorite pumpkin beer for,
Oh
for
boy.
today. I finished the hops party from Weathered Souls just a little bit ago, and now I'm on UFO pumpkin. Now it's very pumpkiny, Dan. I'm sure you don't want it.
You might be the only person that drinks pumpkin beer in January.
It was whatever was in the fridge right now, dude.
What
I'm
about
too
you,
lazy.
Dan?
I'm too lazy to go downstairs and refill my fridge.
Let me drink this pumpkin beer. Happy winter, everyone. I am drinking
Yep.
Stuffed from Prairie. This is a imperial bourbon aged stout with vanilla, cacao, and Oreos added to it.
All right, and for me, I am doing from Framing Hammer. Or it's actually called Framing Hammer. It's from Jack's Abbey. It is the Mole aged in bourbon barrels. That's chili pepper and chocolate, my favorite. I like it, so I can't say too much. I don't know what the ABV is on here, so it's probably gonna knock me on my ass after I'm done. So should be a fun King of the Hill tonight. Of course, you can watch the King of the Hill only on Instagram TV. Better on Draft is our Instagram name, Instagram TV. Rob, what else is in the news?
All right, kind of going in the opposite direction of the last one. This kind of article shows the effect of some of the changes that are happening in Indiana because there is some effect of what's been happening of those changes that are happening to small liquor stores in Colorado, which are feeling the pinch with their alcohol laws that have hit. Some of the laws that have come into effect starting with the expansion to who can hold liquor licenses in 2016, to the expanded beer sales at grocery stores and gas stations and big box retailers in 2018, which apparently this has become a very painful pinch has been happening to some of these small beer stores out there in Colorado, where they're seeing their sales drop and worry that the bigger stores are going to put them out of business. I'm assuming somewhat similar to like how MP3s took out Harmony House and Kindle and Amazon took out regular Borders and some of the Barnes and Nobles. That these big box stores are going to start having far more of the craft beer, some of the craft beer selection, and not all of the selection that some of the smaller stores would have. But still causing those smaller stores to close because they're not getting enough business. And they're seeing their sales drop. And obviously with the stores that we have here, like here in Michigan, at least in the Metro Detroit area, we have things like 8 Degrees Play-Doh, which is a nice small business store that's out there. Shout out to Tim and Bridget for running that place. We have Zatuna Liquor that's out there at M59 and Rochester Road, and Jack running that spot. But is there, I guess for you guys, is there a worry that these bigger stores like your Walmarts, your Myers, your Krogers and things like that start to chip away at the smaller craft beer stores and taking away their ability to survive?
I feel like those people who are buying craft beer as if they're like, craft beer adjacent, like, oh sure, I'll drink Oberon. I don't think they're doing too much in with the bigger stores versus smaller stores. Not too many people are going to Zatuna Liquor or to, probably Zatuna Liquor. Let's use 8 Degrees though, which is a specialty store. Not too many people are going to 8 Degrees Play-Doh for Oberon. They might be picking up Oberon along with something else that they're getting, but they're not going for Oberon. I think the amount of options and the amount of SKUs that are out there, a beer or a big box store, a Walmart, I was about to say Kmart, Walmart, Meijer, Kroger, they are not going to carry the selection and they don't have the space or want to carry that type of selection. It's the same with booze too. Meijer has an amazingly large booze selection, but if you compare that booze selection to say like Wine Castle over in Ann Arbor or
Yep.
Superfine and Canton, like
Yep.
it's nothing compared to it. To where if you're going for a specific wine, alcohol, beer, and you know that the specialty shop's going to carry it and not overcharge you, you might spend maybe 50 cents or $1 more than a Meyer, but you know they're going to have it. I think most people are still going to go to those places. I think the market in Michigan is not going to see it. Now, Colorado, I can't tell you the economics of Colorado. And we also live in a very heavily dense, handful of cities. Our cities are not small cities. Therefore, they can handle a lot more stores and a lot more people. Whereas if you go to somewhere maybe in BFE Colorado or BFE Michigan, like if you go to Munising in Michigan, like you ain't there ain't that many people up there. So the stores, Munising, you got to flip the hand
Munising's-
sideways.
I was just gonna
Oh, it's
say
up there.
that's in the.
I have no idea where Munising is.
Rob, it's north of 14 Mile.
I
Don't worry
mentioned
about it.
Missouri there.
This is the line. This is the line, right?
Um,
That's the line for me.
So those smaller cities, smaller stores might find an issue, but I don't think they're catering to they don't have the amount of people that they need to cater to anyways to have a store like an 8 Degrees. And 8 Degrees would not exist in Escanaba or Iron Mountain.
I mean, there's been
Oh,
a couple
God, that's way the
places
hell
out
up
like
there.
the Traverse City area that have had some decent craft beer stores that are out there.
There's a lot of people that live up in Traverse City though.
So that's a big area compared to like
A
the
lot of people
UP.
that go to Traverse City.
But I'm thinking too, who's going to say Walmart just for beer? I mean, are you going to make that trip? Go have
No.
to deal with everything there just for beer? I'm sure.
Yeah, but a
someone-
lot of people would be like, oh, well, I need to pick up some, burgers to grill, and I might as well pick
well-
up my beer while I'm here.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. But if you're going to, to Dan's
Those are the
point,
guys buying a case of Bud Light too.
Yeah.
While they're doing it.
Well, I mean,
If I'm gonna go
I-
to go get beer, I'm not going to Walmart. I'm gonna because it's too big of a place. I'm going to the party store. That's what I'm
What
doing.
Nick
Yeah.
said, I'm not going there to Walmart just to pick up beer, but if I need to do a few stops and I can do most of it at a multi-chain store, a Kroger, a Bush's, or something like that, I'm gonna go there. Wendy, I know you wanted to say something.
Well, I find it interesting that a lot of the small stores are having a problem with people purchasing because I can't remember the last time I've gone to a chain grocery store. Like actually stepped inside. It's been since March. I just haven't done it. But even my groceries, I'll either purchase them to have them bring them out to my car, or I go to like the Aldi's on early Saturday morning when it's just me and the people working there. Like I find it interesting that people are only going to the big box stores to buy their stuff instead of going to the small stores in their area.
I mean,
and I also believe that party stores are something of a phenomenon in this area. Apparently, people always talk about a Michigan thing is a party store.
Yes, yes.
That's the name party store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I've got a funny story for you guys. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. So I was in Toronto. I was probably 21, 22. I'm in Toronto. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, you know what? I want to grab some booze for the evening, to finish the evening. And I go up to someone who lives in Toronto and I say, hey, where's the nearest party store? And they look at me like I'm an alien, like balloons and cake and streamer.
Party City?
I'm like, no, a beer store. And she's like, oh, the beer store. Mind you, I had never heard of the beer store, which is a Canadian thing. So it was just a funny cultural thing. So, we might call them party stores. New York might call them bodegas. So these things exist, I think, other places. But I agree that there are, like, the party store phenomenon, the one-stop shop that isn't a big chain is probably a little bit more Michigan than some people like. But I always like telling that story of, asking a Canadian where the nearest party store is and them having to explain to me that the country control or the
Province.
province, thank you, controls the entire alcohol and liquor that goes through that province.
Thanks, Ontario.
and those of us who are in Detroit proper, we call it the liquor store.
The liquor.
the
I was gonna say
liquor stout.
Yeah, but there's a big difference truly between a liquor store and a party store.
Yes, there is. There is. That's true. There is. There is.
Like if I'm going to a liquor store, I expect basically Better Made, and 30 coolers of either like soda to beers to malt liquors, and that's it.
Oh, like Tom, like the store formerly known as Tomboy there in Midtown Detroit.
Maybe, I have no idea.
It was the
Party store will have a deli and
no.
You got the
No,
pizza,
no.
the already cooked pizza by the slice.
So when I was in college, being in the frat house, Dan and Ken know, there was a grocery store next door to our house. It was called Tomboy. When you first walked into the grocery store, mind you, you don't buy anything there. You don't even buy the meat or groceries or anything. But you go inside, and on the right-hand side, when you first walk in, are those open, cold coolers that are like open, like wide open. It's cold inside, lined up, nothing but 40-ounce bottles when you first walk in. And
I bought a lot of King Cobra there.
You pulled King Cobra, but at the very, very end, oh God, what was it? Oh, I forgot what it was. Now I'm gonna have to ask my frat brothers about this.
Was it like Old Milwaukee?
No. It was Boone's Farm.
Oh, chill. Are you pre-chilled?
Pre-chilled Boone's Farm at the very, very end.
That's the only way you can drink it is if it's chilled.
They know their audience though. They know their customers.
I might be alive because of Boone's Farm. I
Like, here comes the guy in his 30s going to a frat party buying King Cobra. And
I know.
Here come the 19-year-olds. They don't.
We had a mixer one night with one of the sororities, and me and we were pledges at the time, and I was obviously buying for underage at the time. I ain't going front about that. But we go there and we go next door. We go buy 240s of PBR and we bring them back. And our pledge master at the time was like, "You guys got to chug those before the sorority girls get here." And we just stare at each other like, "All right, fine." So we just do it. We managed to do it in time. It wasn't pleasant, but
They didn't take them to your hands first?
oh no, those are the frat parties, not the mixer events with sororities. But then
You gotta be classy when the sororities.
Yeah, try to
When the
be.
girls
You
show
gotta
up.
drink 12 ounces of PBR, not
But
40s.
it was in that fraternity that I learned about staff parties. So.
oh goodness.
Robert, we're talking about companies that are struggling a little bit. We're talking about new laws. Give us one more article.
All right. So I wasn't sure if I was going to go into the thing in Pennsylvania or whether or not I should go into the issue with the cans. I think I will probably try and keep things a little bit more.
Let's do the Pennsylvania because I think we're not going to hit the can topic's pretty much an entire news topic.
That's kind of what I thought too. So I ran into this thing where I just saw about a Blair County, Pennsylvania man who is now in police custody after a woman noticed someone hanging around her garage. This man, Donald Mosley of Bear Creek, was found hanging out in her garage. When police showed up, they found that he had a can of Budweiser Select in one hand and a pint of Ben & Jerry's Half Baked in the other.
Oh.
I personally am a fan of Half Baked. That is their chocolate vanilla ice creams that are mixed together with chocolate chip cookie dough and fudge brownies. It is a favorite in this house, at least not only a favorite with me, but my wife Dina. She absolutely loves the stuff, and I definitely love buying it for her. Shout out to her. But this dude just basically was walking around, showed up in this lady's garage, and was like drinking a beer and having some ice cream. And he turned himself in. The police showed up and he decided he was going to surrender at that point. But I guess I was kind of interested in just like thinking, like, if there were no repercussions for any of y'all, if y'all were to just like go into somebody's garage and steal a beer, what was the beer that you guys wish you could just have in your hands, just walk out scot-free? Actually, I'm gonna start with Nick on that one.
No, I just don't know what I want it to be. I mean, it could be anything.
Well, I mean, if you're going to steal a beer, I wouldn't expect Bourbon County or
No,
to
I
be
mean,
in a garage fridge.
I mean, especially in the neighborhood that I live, come on, man. I'm in Shelby
For
Township.
me, it might as well be an assassin from toppling Goliath. I'm gonna go with that, even though I've never had it.
It's never
Why
gonna
would
be
that
in a.
be there?
It's
Yeah,
not gonna
why-
be in a garage
It's not
fridge,
gonna be
Rob.
that though. You're not gonna have that in a garage. You're gonna have that in someone's basement where they're not gonna step outside.
I mean, you're lucky enough that it's Ben and Jerry's and not some really off-brand
Ben and
ice cream that matches
Did he
with the
take the
Bud
stuff from her
Select.
garage?
Just live in a damn dream world and don't expect like great value from Walmart to be in a damn fridge and pick something that would be awesome.
I'm reading the thing right now. It looks like he may have picked it up while he was in the because it says he stole the beer and ice cream. So unless he stole it from another place and brought it to this person's random garage or this random person's garage, yeah, I'm guessing that it was in her let's say garage refrigerator.
Yeah.
I mean, my garage refrigerator is my kegerator. This is where all the good beer goes. Is right behind me, guys. If you're watching the video, I'm pointing to it. But that's where the beer goes, and then the beer goes in the fridge downstairs, and then the keg of beer goes in the fridge in the garage. Basically, beer is everywhere. You ain't gonna steal ice cream from here, though. We don't have ice cream in this household.
Here's everything.
No, neither do I.
There's got to be one that you would.
I
kinda-
mean, I would hope it's like an original Stroh's, like an old, not like old, like the bottles that are right next to my refrigerator, but like the from the PBR or Milwaukee brewery before Detroit City or Brew Detroit was brewing it.
You're referring to the ones that have been aged for like 40 years, and then you bought them, and they now have been aged for an additional
5. Yeah. I got cans of Stroh's Light bottles. I got some from E&B, which is a brewery that didn't exist.
You still
for,
haven't
like-
drank those yet?
No, I have not drank them yet.
A brewery that didn't exist.
You're
Well,
supposed
it
to do those
exists, it just
5
doesn't
years ago.
exist anymore. Like someone's brewing the beer, but it doesn't. Yeah, that beer is still there. It's still chilling. Still hasn't been opened. Yeah.
See, and basically in 200 years, you still will have never drank those, and then they're going to be found when Ypsilanti is found underwater, and somebody will be like, "Hey, we just found this beer," and it's going to be a freaking news article, and somebody's going to drink it.
No, we all know that Ken's gonna rebuild his house and he's gonna bury him. He's gonna stash him away in the walls, so that way 150 years from now, so when they rebuild the house, they're gonna find it, just like those bootleggers found those abandoned bottles of whiskey.
I'm gonna put a
house.
fake skeleton in the wall holding the beer, as if it was like that's where they got buried, was with the beer. Or maybe I'll just buy a real
We did
skeleton.
find a bottle of whiskey.
Buy
at
a
my
real
parents' house.
skeleton.
What was that, Wendy?
When we first bought my parents' house, they had to redo my bedroom, and when they took the wall down because they had to redo all the drywall, when they took the wall down, we found a cigarette holder from Tokyo and a whiskey bottle from like 1920 something.
I mean,
Wow.
that whiskey's probably still decent. Probably lost a
So,
little bit of.
There was only a little bit in the bottom, and I was too young. My parents wouldn't let me try it.
I mean, you wouldn't want that to be your first whiskey experience. It'd probably
No.
turn you off
No.
of whiskey
Nope.
the entire time.
No.
I can
So
tell you
so
that wouldn't be my first whiskey experience, but
to answer your question, and it's gonna be a callback to last week's episode, I would just love like a Molson or a Labatt Blue in there.
High Life.
Give a High Life, all right.
High Life.
High Life.
High Life for me.
The old
Alright.
champagne of beers.
I mean, I'll take a PBR. I'm just like,
Dream World, I'd want a KBBS, but
I mean,
Yeah, but you don't
Dream
find a
World.
we're finding
KBB.
the younger,
but I mean, to paraphrase Dennis Leary, a PBR is a beer flavored beer.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
I would go high-end Guinness, low-end PBR High Life. That's what I would do.
All right. I mean,
I would
can
be
see
with
Guinness.
I would be, yeah. I mean, maybe not Guinness, but definitely I agree PBR or High Life. If I go into someone's garage,
I
into
mean,
their
I could
fridge.
see a Guinness in there, but the whole point is like that's where the beer overflow goes, is the garage.
Yeah,
You ain't buying
Not at my
30
house.
packs of um,
KBS.
Jack's Abbey Mole.
Now,
Um,
ice cream wise, I'd be hoping for a bumpy cake or a red velvet cake type ice cream. That
I'd
would be
be
fantastic.
I'd be okay with Sanders bumpy cake
I'd be
beer.
hoping for some like cold burgers or something, because there's no way that I could do
Or like a
Cold burgers.
Cold,
Well,
like already cooked, but cold.
yeah, already cooked.
No, no,
I'm
hold
not
on,
gonna
wait.
find warm burgers in a
No bun,
refrigerator.
no bun or anything. Just
No,
grabbing the patty and
especially if
going.
they've already melted the cheese on
No,
top. Let's
it's
go.
it's gonna
Are
be
you
white.
hoping they're cooked?
Yeah,
It's-
yes.
No, they'll be cooked, but it's gonna be like cold, like White Castle cold.
So it's got like the little white grease spots on the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wendy
The
knows it,
coagulated
yeah.
grease. Hell
There
yeah.
you go, man.
Zero carbs.
0 carbs. Oh Jesus.
As you're drinking your beer that was in the fridge.
Listen, I'm doing my best to finish this so that I don't have to do it anymore. During COVID, there was a point in time where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Ohio and I'm gonna buy a bunch of singles. So I still have like there's a beer that was sitting that I was hoping to open today that I didn't get to, which is the Boulevard Chill Vibes Cucumber Sour Ale. But that ain't happening today. But I'm sure by the time now that we got Parrish coming in next week, which is going to be live on January 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern. They were sick this week, which is why they weren't on this episode. If you guys only listen to the news, wondering where they were, that's why. Wendy, you're showing a beer. Arvon, what's up?
I just opened the Tropical Drip Trip. It's a New England style IPA.
Well, I've never heard of a New England IPA. What is that?
Ew.
All right. Well, you know what,
It was
guys?
a very bad pour job, but
That's okay. That's going to do it. Better on Draft podcast. We got through a few different news articles. I appreciate you all listening. That is a January 22nd news article. Stay tuned if you are live with us. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern is when we start recording. We got King of the Hill. I'm bringing back the over-under card game that I had to see who is going to be the King of the Hill this week. That's going to do it. Better on Draft podcast. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's... Wendy, you're going to need to come in for this because Rob's gone. Better on Draft. Have a good night.
peace.